All right. A little marker. Mark. It's Wednesday, November 25th, 2020. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights tonight. Adventure Time, Distant Lands, Episode 2, Obsidian. You know, a consequence of these special post-ending Adventure Times coming out in this long format is we're kind of reviewing them like movies, even though they're really just long episodes. We're kind of just reviewing.
I think we have to now. This is like the last one where we're gonna say we're gonna do a Geek Nights episode about each one. I think.
I don't know.
Going forward, we should only do it about them if they're even.
There's only gonna be 4, at least officially so far.
Let's hold and see if that remains true.
I bet they keep making them because they seem to be popular and they're really good.
Feel like as much as we like it, we shouldn't dedicate a Geek Nights episode to every single episode of another thing, because that's instead its own podcast. That's no longer right. We don't want Wednesday night to become so focused onto a single thing that so many of the episodes are about one.
Well,
thing,
we should pick what anime we're gonna watch before the next Wednesday episode then. I kind of want to watch Sleepy Princess in the Castle.
Is that available somewhere?
Oh, yeah, I'll figure out where it's available because it looks really funny and people I trust have been saying that it's hilarious and not creepy. Yeah, so I actually have an opening bit. Something happened to me. I was
how did something happen to you in your house?
So a package came and it was a big package and I wasn't expecting a package like in particular. It was really big.
Is it another free monitor? Because I
it was not in fact a bomb like last time. So I opened it and it was my Valve Index. It actually arrived way sooner than I expected.
Well, usually I think that happens a lot is when you are buying expensive things, they tend to include, since it's so expensive, right? They want to make sure it shows up, so they will just include the expensive, timely, better shipping option.
It was in like this really fancy box, layered in another fancy box.
Anytime I've ever ordered anything from Apple, any phone or iPad, it's always shown up immediately at the exact right time on the day that it was supposed to, right? Same kind of thing.
Yep. Now I'll say already, if someone I'll geek bite this, review it on a Monday or a Wednesday show or something, or a Tuesday show, but this is not a VR kit you should buy unless you are deep into VR. This is literally the best consumer VR technology that exists.
It could be that you're just wealthy and you have a bunch of random stuff that you will use a little bit each, but you don't care because you're a wealthy jerk.
Yeah, but if you're like that, just get the freaking Oculus for like $300 instead. Like, this won't work with the Oculus store. This only works with Valve.
No. Those wealthy people, they got to measure their dicks, right? And got to be like, well, not only
No. If you're wealthy,
I have all these things that I barely use, and I have the best of each one. Look, I have the best pool table in the world that is used maybe once every 2 years.
Nah, because if you're wealthy, you don't get the index. You know what you get? You get installation VR. This is the best consumer retail with an MSRP VR kit that's out there. There is better VR. There is a lot of better VR, but that's the special VR you have to buy directly with an invoice. Get someone to install it. Special sensors, all sorts of nonsense.
I feel like getting software for that would be hard. Usually that's the kind of setup you have in academia where you're developing software for it. I don't think you're going to be able to buy a game on Steam and run it on that. So
some of those, you kind of can just do that. Steam is actually really good at just seeing VR tech, even mixing and matching VR tech from different vendors, and it kind of just works.
Pretty good job.
Yeah, surprisingly, that is not what I would expect from the same people who made the Steam controller.
So you would be wearing an Index face, but then holding the Oculus handle?
In fact, the Valve Index sensors will work just fine with a Vive.
Okay.
They're even just better than the Vive sensors for a Vive.
So if you have a Vive and you don't want to spend all the money in Index, you could just upgrade your handles.
You could, no, the sensors, not the handles.
Oh, okay.
The sensors use laser tracking. It's a different kind of tracking from Oculus. It's just better in every way. But yeah, it arrived, and all I'll say about it now is that I haven't I've been so busy. It's been sitting there since 2 days ago, and I haven't even opened the box yet, other than briefly to peek at it. I haven't had time to set this shit up at all.
Mm.
But the hardware feels so good, and it solves so many like hardware UX problems of the cheaper headsets. I'm pretty excited to use it. So now,
I hope so, considering the price and the fact that it's newer, that it would be better.
yeah, part of the reason I got it was that I want to get rid of my Oculus hardware because of the whole looming Facebook crap. So I got to do that soon because I can't even like reinstall some of my Oculus stuff without getting a Facebook account. So I'm kind of locked in.
Is it is the index, I imagine, is not yet at the point where it's just a pair of sunglasses type?
No,
device?
but it feels
giant thing you put on your head.
post-COVID. You got to try it because I've used the index before, like not the one I own, but I've used a real index before. It fits real nice and is real comfortable, like 2 or 3 times more comfortable than an Oculus Quest or an Oculus Rift. It's not
I mean, you know, even if it weighs less than the old one, I still don't have a Henry Rollins neck here. So
yeah, it's not a problem. But I will say, what you want, something that's basically just sunglasses, that is easily 15 to 20 years away.
All right, well, I'll wait 15, 20 years. I'm not in a rush.
Yeah, there's some. You'll see. You should play Super Hot VR and see how you feel.
Okay, even if Super Hot VR is so great,
It is not worth buying an Index 4 by itself, though. I'm not gonna.
It's how much money exactly, right? I mean, I won't even buy a PS5 to play Spider-Man for $650. I'm not paying $1,000 and who knows what dollars to play.
I am doing development and experimentation, so there's a reason why I have 3 VR headsets. This is not just,
you know, VR is just in that realm, right? Where it's like if you are using it a lot or you're developing on it.
Like 3D printing. Are you using 3D printing to do projects, or are you a 3D printing hobbyist where 3D printing is itself your hobby? Yeah, by all means.
There are occasions where I would, you know, want a 3D printer, right? For example, I kind of want to get, you know, like do some 3D printing to try to make, because all of the choices for like Raspberry Pi handhelds are not.
Yeah.
So I feel like, hey, the only thing I can't do, because the electronic parts I have down. I got everything I need for electronics set, right? I could just buy a screen, buy a Raspberry Pi, buy some buttons, right? And make the ideal Raspberry Pi handheld all on my own. I just need a case for it, and I don't like any of the cases that are out there. So I would have to make one with a 3D printer. But I'm not going to buy a 3D printer for one project I have, and then it's going to sit there unused, right? Occasionally, like once every couple years, if I break a piece on a Gundam model, I'll print one out. It's like that's not worth it.
That's why you got to have either a friend who has a 3D printer, or you just go to Shapeways and just like pay someone for a fancy printer.
VR is that same situation where, you know, if there really is, you know, like you got the Half-Life Alyx. Don't want to play that? Yeah, I do want to play that, right? I played every other Half-Life game. Of course I want to play that Half-Life game. I don't $1,000+ want to play it though. So
you know, you could borrow my Oculus Quest and just tether it to your PC. It would just work.
Wouldn't I need to hook it up to my Facebook account?
We have a Facebook account linked to it that has not been deleted yet by Facebook. That would probably just work.
Yeah, this is you know, not worth the hassle, I think.
Yeah, you can come
without.
In a life post-COVID. You can come over and use the fancy VR because I can get 3 people going in this house right now with varying levels of quality. Except I can't get a 3080.
You'll get one eventually. Whatever.
Yeah, I need it because the HTPC.
Get a 3080. It's like, you know,
the 2080 is just such a piece of crap compared to the 3080 that it's 3080 or nothing.
Right, but is 4080 how is 40, you know, 2080 versus 1080 I think was, you know, I didn't look at the benchmarks.
It was a big leap in a lot of ways. It was like the leap between the 980 and the 1080.
From 10 to 20?
Yeah.
Because I know 30 was way better than 20. I didn't get the feeling that 20 was way better.
No, 10 to 20 was not a big leap. 9 to 10 was a big leap.
Right. So I'm saying 10 to 20 was not so big. 20 to 30 was. So is 30 to 40 going to be a small or big leap?
I think it'll be a small leap.
If it is small, they're doing a TikTok situation.
Yep.
Then get your 30s when the 40s come out or whatever, you know.
Well,
I really want to know what they're going to do.
The thing is, they don't drop in price. Video cards don't drop in price. So my philosophy, scalpers and supply chain issues aside,
they do drop in price at some point.
Not really. Not materially. By the time the 1080 was cheap, 1080 is garbage. At least for what I'm
3080 is
doing.
not going to be garbage.
Yeah, but my philosophy more is if I'm going to get a video card like that anyway, get it as early as possible to get the maximum use out of it during that cycle.
Think of it this way, right? It's like if you've got a 4K screen and you want to play a game that's 60 FPS, right?
Yep.
Okay.
A 1080 can barely keep up with that.
Right, but I'm saying if you get a video card that can do 4K 60, right? Like say a 3080,
Yep.
and you've got a 4K 60 screen, then you don't need 4080, 5080, 6080, 7080 until you get a screen that's better than 4K 60.
Or you're doing something. Like, you know what I can't do right now? I can't drive the index at full because it runs at 144 and high resolution. I cannot run it at full rate. But also, even with my regular old Oculus, I can't stream VR while playing it, even with the 1080. I run into serious performance issues.
Yeah, I think we feel like we've reached sort of like not the end, but sort of a slowing down in terms of games demanding more from the GPU at the same frame rate and at the same resolution, right? In terms of like, oh, we've got new features like shadowing this and, you know, shading that and all this.
Well, like Overwatch runs fine in 4K 60, but Star Wars Squadrons, I had to dump it down to 1080 to get it to have a good frame rate.
Yeah, sure. But they've also got, you know, there's also, I think the time that will change is when more things start using that real-time ray tracing stuff that they've added.
Or games get designed around the AI rendering stuff.
Yep. Anyway.
Yep. So anyway, in some anime news, real quick Geek Bite. As you know, we reviewed Deca-Dence recently. Scott had finished it. I now also finished it. It's great. Just go watch it. It gave me exactly what I expected. The same feels I got watching a show like Full Metal Alchemist back in the day. Solid show. Good stuff going on. Satisfying ending, which actually is something that's better than Full Metal Alchemist was.
Oh no. Sick burn.
But it gave me like that level of feeling. Like it was an anime where every episode, like right up to the end, I thought, wow, I want to watch the next episode right now. But then as Scott warned me, I also thought, wow, that was the end of a normal anime and there are several episodes to go.
Yep, that's exactly how that is.
You warned me and we hit the moment and I was like, okay, that was it. That was what Scott was talking about. What the fuck?
Yeah, episode 9 feels like that would normally be the end of the show. Yeah. What are they going to do next to fund the next 3 episodes?
And sure enough, they did stuff. Deca-Dence, watch it if you like. It's a good show. We talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you got any news?
I got also a tiny geek bite. So I ordered the Wolfwalkers art book. It's a coffee table book. So, you know, unless you got a place to put it, don't buy it.
I look forward to visiting you post-COVID so I can flip through this book.
Yeah, this book is showing you, like, I don't know if there's anything in this book that's left out. It feels like every single piece of, I guess, interesting to look at in any way, production artwork, right, is in this book somewhere. Like, it's just like, is the whole storyboard in there? I don't even freaking know. It's like there's just everything in there. I don't know what they left out. There's so much text explaining everything too. It's like,
ooh, that's the key. That's what I really like an art book.
It's not just an art book. This is basically like the complete behind the scenes commentary, like everything there is to know about this movie and how it was made is in this one book. The most interesting thing, and this is probably boring because to animators or people who know about this, but this is an animation technique that I knew all the parts of it existed, but I was not aware of this specific combination. So, you know, the scene in Wolfwalkers, or the scenes where they're following the wolf scent and it's sort of like the yellow.
Yeah, those were good scenes. Right? Very Samurai Jack.
Right. So specifically the one inside the scullery, right, where it's like, you know, going up the stairs, right, past the hallway, all that stuff, right? So the way that was animated is they made the scullery, right, in 3D, in CG on a computer, right? And then they moved the camera around, you know, first-person view camera, right? They moved it around the scullery, and they had sort of like a yellow wavy line, right, that was on the screen there, right, representing where the wolf scents were, right, that they were smelling. Mm-hmm. And then I assume this is I don't know, the movie must have been done on 2s or 3s or whatever, right? But they printed out on paper, like dead trees, right? the outlines of the CG, right? So it's basically just like one color line, thin lines showing you the walls, the floors, right? All that stuff. Just like the like if you were in like a Counter-Strike map and you said only draw, the outlines of all the objects, basically, right? Of what you're seeing. And then they took all those papers and they drew on the papers with pencil. And then that is what's in the movie, is the pencil. Real actual pencil.
It's like a modern take on rotoscoping.
Right. It's like it's not necessarily rotoscoping exactly, but it's like CG and then you trace what you printed out of a printer with a pencil, and that's how they made those cuts there. And I was like, whoa, that's sort of genius and awesome. I like that. Anyway, so it's fascinating. So if you love shit like that, get that book.
Wolfwalkers. Might have to get that book. It's like $30.
Yeah, it's a big hardcover coffee table book. It's next to my mouse guard art book.
Yeah.
Okay, what else we got in the news? Tiny news. Funimation streaming service, which competes with the C-Roll and the Netflix and whatever. They just got basically all the Gundams. Not all the Gundams literally, but original Gundam, Unicorn Gundam, Gundam Seed Destiny. Don't watch that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to watch some Gundams legally, Funimation is the place, because it was not necessarily easy to watch all of those legally. I'm
moderately excited because I've actually been hankering to watch Gundam Seed again. It's actually my favorite non-OAV Gundam.
Non-OAV Gundam? I guess, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, all the like original Gundam Seed, Zeta Gundam are all kind of equal as TV shows. I guess those are the only full TV series Gundams I've watched all of. I know to stay away from Double Zeta Gundam.
I got a couple episodes into Unicorn before I just didn't care.
Yeah, Unicorn's a little less than those. It's not Double Zeta territory. There is, in slightly related news, Right Stuff was putting out new HD Gundam Seed, right, Blu-rays. And what happened is how in Japan they'll put an anime on TV, and then when they put it on DVD, they'll sort of fix it. They'll do it quickly to get it on TV quickly, and then animation mistakes will get fixed before they put out DVDs.
Remember Sailor Moon?
Right, exactly. So apparently the Gundam Seed HD remaster Blu-rays that Right Stuff had were, I guess, not HD. They were HD, but they were from TV. They were not the fixed, DVD release ones. So apparently they're correcting that. So I guess if you have shitty Gundam Seed HD discs from Right Stuff, you can get newer, better ones that have all the animation stuff fixed from, for, I guess, at no cost, I assume. And going forward, I assume they're only going to send out, good ones. They got the wrong materials, and then they got the right material.
I mean, it feels like Gundam shows have had more problems with the putting something broken on the DVD than a lot of other properties for some reason.
I think it happens actually somewhat frequently.
But it might just be that Gundam fans notice and complain more, and it makes more press.
True. I think also only extreme anime nerds even pay attention to things like that or know about things
like how would a normal fan of a show even notice?
Yeah, exactly. And then that relates to the original news, right? Because the Right Stuff materials are sort of what's being used for some of the Funimation streams. So a lot of the Funimation streams you're going to watch are just what is on the Right Stuff Blu-ray. So there you go.
So you might have seen the news a while ago. I'm a huge fan of the Venture Brothers. I think it is very important and very good animated television. Like, that show is fantastic. It's evolved a lot over the years. Like, I could go on about it forever. I'm not going to bother you with that now. The news was that it was canceled, which on one hand, you might think, oh, that's a shame. That show's been running for 17 years. But on the other hand, you might think, wait, Venture Brothers was still running? Because it tends to take them a long time to make a season. Like, it's been running 17 years, but they've only done, 7 seasons in a movie? And the seasons are relatively short.
In 17 years? It's that old?
It's that old. It was already running for a while when we were at that one PAX where all the Enforcers were playing episodes from it, like in the theaters between panels.
It's 2003. We were still in college when it was a new show.
Yeah.
I don't remember it existing until like, much later than that.
I didn't get into it until several seasons were already in, and a lot like
only had seasons and all that time.
But the first season's hit or miss. Like, it's not great, to be honest, but like Adventure Time and other shows, it evolved and evolved, and it's made me cry. Like, it's a really fantastic show. But getting canceled was kind of a big deal because the show, part of the reason why it takes so long to make it is that they are sort of perfectionists about it, and they make sure that it's right. Like, it's always tight, it's very well put together, and they won't put out a season until they're done with it, which is a pro.
I thought it might be that they're just not, working ridiculous hours, right?
No, they're from everything I read, they're working like
not doing
crazy.
The South Park thing where they show up late at night and work nonstop to get the episode out at the last.
No, it's more like they get the episode done, and then they polish it for like 10 times the time they spent making it.
And they're only working 8 hours a day every day.
They just polish. And
you can read the money for all this.
That's the problem. You can't make money with a show like that. So Adult Swim canceled it. I can't imagine that Adult Swim has been making money on this show at any point in like the last 5 years. But the show has a very large, very dedicated following, and it's good TV. There are serious, credible rumors that HBO Max in particular, is trying to get the rights.
It's not an official announcement here.
While it is not official, there have been statements talking about this exploration from HBO since. Like, it's credible and serious. Like, HBO Max is talking to them about what it would take.
So if this rumor turns out to be false, the show is canceled.
Oh yeah, the show is canceled unless someone saves it.
Is the canceling a new news?
That news was from not that long ago. I just haven't talked, like from September.
So did the show in its, I guess you said the 7th
There is another season that is still in flight that is to come out. If it gets canceled, the next season, which will not resolve anything because it was not intended to be the last season, will be the last season.
That's what I was asking about. It's like,
yep. So one more season would come out, which would be a shame because the last season ended on a really interesting note and also kind of a cliffhanger, and the next season was setting up some really fun stuff that would probably take another 17 years to resolve. But HBO Max picking it up actually makes sense. I mean, look at what HBO Max picked up Adventure Time.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the pattern that I'm seeing these days is that Disney owns most of the world, right? And then Netflix, they own some stuff and they're making some deals, but Netflix seems to really want to make its own IPs, right? Mostly, and then have those things succeed because then they get to keep all the monies. They don't have to make licensing deals or pay anyone else, right? So it's like just make as much original stuff as you can. Maybe some of it will be so great no one can take it from you, right? You're just the master of everything, and that's the Netflix realm. Still keeping some deals so that you have enough stuff that people want to be your customer, right? Apple sort of over there being like this dark horse hiding in the back, right? And I think much like with everything else, no one's going to care about that stuff. Except for the few exclusive things that Apple gets, like a Wolfwalker situation, right? I mean, does anyone care about literally anything else on Apple TV Plus at all? And then HBO Max is sitting over there, and HBO has their original stuff, right? And they're going to keep making the original stuff that they make. I guess what HBO's like Game of Thronesy stuff, right? They own that all the way.
Yep.
Right?
But again, HBO Max is making like the new Adventure Times that we're about to talk about.
Right. Is they are also, right? They are going out and basically getting anything that Disney doesn't own, anything that's not nailed to the ground. HBO Max is like yoink, yoink, yoink.
Oh, actually, no, that's subtly they're funding it, but the production is still Cartoon Network and Frederator.
Yeah. But,
anyway,
I'm just talking about getting stuff onto their service via whatever means, right? To flesh out. Because if HBO Max is literally nothing but the HBO original, serial shows that they do.
Yep, that's a recipe for disaster. That's how Showtime struggled.
Exactly. Those are very huge, popular shows. Your Games of Thrones, I guess Sopranos is like the one that sort of started all that, right? And then going forward to Game of Thrones, right? But there aren't enough of those. So people will subscribe to HBO Max, watch all of them if they're the biggest fans of those things, and then they'll be done with HBO Max.
Yep,
right?
I've been guilty of that kind of pattern before.
Right, and even if HBO does come out with more shows like that, which they will, they don't do it in such a large like quantity the way that Netflix is, right? You know, Netflix is like new show, new thing, right? And you know, some of their new things they try to make a big deal, but it's like they still got, you know, fucking how many seasons of Dragon Prince going on, and it's like so quiet. They're so quiet with the Dragon Prince, but there it is.
Even though that show is standout quality show, not enough people are talking about Dragon Prince.
Nope.
But what's that? So extra interesting? Yeah, Andy Forsell, who's basically the HBO Max guy, actually issued a statement saying we're working on it for real.
Okay.
So I clicked on his Twitter because I don't know a lot about him as a person, and I think I am more fondly disposed toward HBO Max now than I was before, because the last thing he tweeted was bitching about how everyone wants giant phones anymore and he can't get a small phone. And the thing he tweeted before that was, I'm going to try to save Adventure Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, I have been feeling, you know, even before today, right, that like, yeah, Netflix, I've watched a lot of stuff on Netflix recently, but I'm sort of running a little low on stuff to watch on Netflix, and maybe it's time to cancel the Netflix, sign up for HBO Max for a while.
Yeah.
And then switch back, you know.
Of course, Hilda is going to be on Netflix imminently, season 2. That's one of the best animated shows I've seen in history. You didn't watch Hilda?
Why would I? I don't watch. How many things do I watch?
Watch Hilda. It is one of the best things on Netflix. I'm not kidding. It is fantastic. So, yeah, Venture Brothers might get saved. In some other news that's only tangentially related to Wednesday, because comics can be covered by this, depending. There's a complicated structure around these publishing companies. Like, you might even know the parent company if you live in Europe, but in the U.S., you probably know them as their Penguin or Penguin Random House.
Yeah, there's basically over time in the U.S., you know, book publishing companies have, you know, joined, merged, right, gotten bought, died, and there was, I think I remember at one time hearing, I don't know, I can't remember because it's been so long since I had a friend who was in publishing and I haven't talked to them in who knows how long. But I don't think they even remember I exist. It's so long. So, but I remember people were talking, I think at one time, I could be misremembering, there was like a big 5 and now there's like a big 3. Are we down to a big 2 or a big 1?
Look, like, already we're talking about Penguin Random House. I remember when Penguin was its own thing.
Oh, yeah.
And basically the news is Viacom, CBS, which is already, has agreed to sell Simon & Schuster to Penguin Random House for actually small amount. It's only $2 billion.
Okay, so here it is. I figured it out. So yeah, it was Big 5. So as of 2019, right, the Big 5 were Penguin Random House, the biggest, like $3 billion, like over $3 billion, right? Hachette, right, almost $3 billion. HarperCollins, $1.5 billion. So HarperCollins is already less than half of Penguin Random House. Macmillan is about the same as HarperCollins. Simon & Schuster was number 5 at less than $1 billion, $830 million. So this turns the Big 5 into the Big 4. It puts Penguin Random House at over $4 billion, which is more than $1 billion ahead of second place, which is still Hachette at less than.
Yeah, we need some antitrust here.
This turns the Big 5 into the Big 1 and the second tier 3. Right.
You know what? Whatever commentary we were going to have, the second tweet in this thread actually says everything we need to say. I'm just going to quote it. New York Times book said it best.
You should stop this, basically.
Quote, "The sale of the company will profoundly reshape the publishing industry, increasingly a winner-take-all business in which the largest companies compete for brand name authors and guaranteed bestsellers."
Yes, I think
the sale will likely lead to the loss of editorial and marketing positions, imprints, fewer outlets for new books. This is kind of a catastrophe for the book publishing business.
Well, here the real problem, and I think I forget who tweeted this, but it basically says everything, right? Is like, we are going to allow, you know, what is published, right? Professionally published for money, right, in the United States in English, to be decided by a very small number of people.
It's worse than that. It's so
not democratically elected people.
It is so much worse than that because
it's already true, but it's even more true.
So Penguin Random House was actually big in the news today for some bad shit that's going down there. The people who are now going to own all of this. They are publishing Jordan Peterson, that piece of shit's book, and their staff are like freaking out, threatening to quit. All the good people who work for Penguin Random House are talking about quitting because they're letting this Nazi guy publish his book.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'd quit too.
Yep, I would quit if my company did something with Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I know my company, we're as a music company, and I'm pretty sure that we don't sign anyone doing Nazi music, right? I think there was like a discussion about that or something, because I was like, yeah, if I was like, I looked, people were tweeting it, talking about it, and I was like, yeah, if I found out that we did, I would raise a stink, and if they didn't, stop it, I'd leave. And I didn't have to leave, so.
It's a bad situation, and that is the company that is now going to own Simon & Schuster.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into things of the day, someone pointed out in the stream that to try to get you to watch Hilda. You know what Hilda's got? That rare quantity. Remember how in Madoka, who is the best character in Madoka Magica? Yeah, there was a younger Scott would have said something very specific. He would have said Madoka's mom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So basically, in Hilda's mom is a Madoka mom situation, like to a T.
Okay.
But anyway,
They're barely in the show, and I don't remember them when I have to think.
But then has pivotal moments where you'll go, that's a good mom. That's an anime mom right there. Yes.
Okay.
Things of the day. So I actually have an animation-related thing. This is a short animated film that is beautiful and creepy, animated by Shingo Tamagawa, who does a lot of work in anime. It's just a short, animated, creepy film that is free to watch on YouTube, and I think you should watch it. The style reminds me a little bit of things like Oniyami's in terms of how the characters are drawn. It's very simple, very creepy, very short, but it's worth watching.
Okay. Here's the thing of the day. It's a very rim thing of the day. So the U.S. Coast Guard has, its largest ship that it has in its fleet, right? Has several big electric engines in it that are many, 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 many horsepower. They are, as you would imagine, a boat engine.
Slapped aside, you can fit so many horses in this thing.
That's right, like thousands of horses. And you can read in the article more details, right, of about that. But they have to replace the engine, so they dock the boat and they cut a hole in the side of the ship, and they're going to take one engine out and put the other one in. But the thing is, they're publicly documenting all this. None of it's like secret, right? If you follow.
Yeah, this isn't like a military warship.
No, if you follow the Coast Guard on whatever their place you follow them is, Facebook, Instagram, I don't know, wherever they're documenting this. I just read an article. They're giving out all the deets, and the most fascinating thing is something that because a lot of the stuff is detailed, nerdy boat stuff that you can't really relate to, right? But the thing I could really relate to so much was they put the boat into the dock, right? Like the dry dock. It's not in the water anymore. It's up on land in a big, big hole in the ground, right? That's boat shaped. They had to put it in and put the boat as far to the right as they could to create room so that when they take the engine out of the side of the boat, they can lift it up, right, and get it out of the hole.
I love hearing about those very specific practical challenges that are a reality for jobs that we never see.
It's just how many times you're working on something and it's okay, I got this screw out, but now it's stuck down there and I can't get it out.
God, flashbacks to trying to replace RAM in old computers.
Yeah, it's you got to get in something into a tight space, and it's you need to make the tight space bigger. Move it's even with something this big, they have that problem. But they were so smart, they foresaw the problem to begin with, accounted for it, and I guess they have enough room, so they're
barely. Look at these pictures. Good God.
Yeah. The photos are showing you we moved it all the way. Look how it's so close it is. And plus when they were docking the boat, they probably imagine having to move it, just get it in just the right spot and not let it before you take the water out.
This is always the kind of thing where no one in high school ever told me I could be gigantic boat repair guy as a career.
Because not many people can. There's only a few places on Earth where you can be that.
Yeah.
It's not a common job. It's a rare job. It's a very select list of people get that job. And usually it's people who live near it to begin with, so they know about it. Coast Guard people, I think that's the real thing, is like, if you don't like join something like the Coast Guard, right? They don't tell you necessarily all the possible jobs you could have in that organization.
Yep. A lot of these jobs are join an organization or get an apprenticeship that no one will ever tell you exists.
And also, I remember when I was in high school, and I guess, slightly less against joining, say, a military organization than I am now, right? I was already extremely against. Whenever Army recruiters, like the few times that I actually engaged with them, right, in any meaningful way, I was like, if I join the Army or whatever, can you guarantee that I will not have to do any push-ups, and also that I can get a computer job guaranteed, not a killing people job, not a gun job, not a computer that shoots bombs job, some sort of other computer job that does not involve murdering people.
I'm sure that recruiter said yes and just lied to you.
No, they didn't. They were like, no, you got to go to basic training no matter what.
Because the Marine recruiters straight up lied to me, and it was really funny.
Oh, okay. But they can't guarantee you that job. So it's like, if you told me, oh, you join the Coast Guard, your guaranteed job is engine replacer, right? Maybe I would sign up for Coast Guard, but no, you join the Coast Guard, and then who knows what is going to happen.
But imagine if we had organizations like the Coast Guard that were paid better and like safer and like more managed by society and invested in to do other kinds of big infrastructure for our country. The Train Corps. I want to join the Train Corps.
Well, imagine if you could just guaranteed join Coast Guard and not have to do push-ups or kill anybody.
I mean, I'm fine doing push-ups, and the Coast Guard doesn't have to kill that many people.
One is too many is the problem.
Oh my God! The best part of this article is the Coast Guard. The engine they're replacing that they put in. They built that spare engine when they built the ship 23 years ago, and they built a special building around that engine to store it until this day.
Yep.
I don't know what they'll do if they have another engine problem. I think they have to build a new engine at that point.
Yeah, they'll probably the one they're taking out, they'll probably, put in that building.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they always have one good one.
I'll admit, in terms of like the weird stuff I know about, I know a lot more about nuclear propulsion than about just non-nuclear electric propulsion, even though lots of the parts are very similar. Because Russia's got some...
Except the plutonium part. Right?
Russian equivalent ships to this are nuclear-powered icebreakers, and they're neat.
Of course.
But anyway, meta moment. I've not lit the tail of Genji signal yet, nor has Scott.
Nope.
Our code of conduct seems to be working. New people have come back into the forum, or like there's more activity. I feel like if you have stayed away from GeekNights community spaces for some time, for whatever reason, come on back in and see what's going on. We're trying to shape the community a little bit more specifically, and it's bearing some fruit. And also, if you're a Nazi, you're not allowed.
Yeah, now is the time of year when usually you're with people. We can't necessarily, it's not safe to be with people as much as we have been in a normal year. You can be with if you're listening to this, right? I guess you are fellows in some way, or, you should get along with other people who also listen to this, right? So, so that's a thing. What else? So far during my not working time, which I guess I'm going to have 7 days of working starting next week, but most of my not working time I've been spending working on making the GeekNights website deploy itself with the press of a button, and I've made a lot of progress. It's almost done, actually. So if that is done, then working on the GeekNights website will be a breeze, right? I'll be able to just be like, making all kinds of changes, all kinds of stuff constantly.
That's a pattern with you and me. The boring part that's necessary to get to the fun part is what slows us down the most.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like once you have, like a factory, right, to make a thing, then suddenly making the thing becomes like,
That's why we haven't been making a lot of video content, because the factory has to be rebuilt every time we do it.
Yep, exactly. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise,
but yeah. So if you, what I was trying to say, I got distracted by something. If you or someone you know, or you just know of someone who is great at front end web action, we're talking about, real simple, like in terms of programming wise, all you're gonna have to do is call real simple APIs and get results, and then The hard part is making a nice looking web page, right? Real nice looking, very meeting accessibility standards, right? All that sort of stuff. Not the actual programming part, the artsy part. We do have a new logo and graphic design. We just need, the website.
Rest in peace. Logos by Brando K. They served us well for 15 plus years.
Yeah, I think I read what Brando K is up to these days. He was on the team that did the RB's Twitter account, but I think they're doing something else now. But very talented person, regardless.
Yep. We're gonna give up on our Web 2.0 aesthetic.
That's right. So if you know of anyone who is good at HTML, CSS, not too much JavaScript, right? Mostly making stuff look nice, web page, right? Refer that person to us.
We will pay. We're not asking for volunteers. This is a paid contract.
We are going to pay that person a competitive, perhaps even generous rate of money from mostly Rim's wallet.
Well, and the Patreon.
Steal Rim's money.
Yeah. We're paying for. Well, this is a pretty good job, honestly. If you feel like you're up to it, and
it's only a one-time job, though. It's not an ongoing job.
So. Yeah, it is a contract that will end. We do not need someone to help us maintain the site after it's live.
Yes,
because we can do that. We could make the whole site ourselves. One, we just suck at design, and two, front end development sucks ass, and I hate it. I hate doing it. I never want to touch CSS again in my life.
It's better than it used to be because the browsers today have things like CSS Grid and whatnot. But
that is true. But I still just don't like doing it.
No, I don't like doing it either.
I don't even like thinking about it.
We're going to pay someone else to do it.
All right. Anyway, let's get right into it because this has turned into the Adventure Time show because we've now had 2 of these end of Adventure Time episodes on HBO Max. The first one was BMO, which we reviewed. This one, Obsidian. It's the Marceline and Bubblegum show. The biggest thing I have to tell you about this before we start reviewing it is that with the BMO one, it stands alone. You could watch it knowing nothing about Adventure Time and enjoy it. It's a story from start to finish. This one won't make any goddamn sense if you have not seen all of Adventure Time from beginning to end. It will spoil everything.
So I partially agree. A, you're right. It will spoil many things. B, yes, you are right. There is a lot going on here that you will not understand at all if you haven't seen all of it.
But no, I see what you're about to say, because to that point,
it is watchable and comprehensible as a standalone thing. You can understand what is happening in this within itself.
Yep.
Right?
Like when Marceline is singing a particular song at a certain point, the way Bubblegum reacts, and then a flashback, you can figure out the context of that story enough.
You can, but I'm saying that the basic plot of this is that there is this glass kingdom, which is not in any other Adventure Time. It's a brand new kingdom as far as we're aware of, but it is canonically
foreshadowed, even if it's a retcon, based on how Marceline was first introduced in the beginning.
Yes, sure. But yeah, this is not a kingdom we've seen before. These aren't characters we've seen before. You find out the story of the Glass Kingdom is there's a dragon that lives down in the lava and they trap it there, right? And then the dragon's waking up and there's a kid and there's a princess.
Yeah, the kid goes off to find the ancient hero that saved the day the last time this happened.
Right. It's like that. The plot of this thing itself, you can fully grasp from never having seen any Adventure Time in your whole damn life. But there is much more fan service, plot stuff that you really probably shouldn't watch this unless you've seen all of Adventure Time or all the plot episodes of Adventure Time.
Yeah, it'll literally spoil major points about the end of Adventure Time, and it is set at least a decade, maybe 2, after the end of Adventure Time.
Yeah, and some things are, references to the TV show that you will not get, and that won't necessarily subtract from watching this, right? So, but some things, if you don't get, it will, you'll miss something. And it won't necessarily make the experience of watching it worse, but you'll basically be losing a huge bonus, right? It's like there's a scene where someone throws a T-shirt at someone.
Yep.
That scene, it's like, okay, if you don't know anything about Adventure Time, that scene won't really cause you any problem. It won't make this, movie, I guess.
You know what?
Worse.
The one part that would make no sense to anyone is anything to do with Simon.
Sure.
That is not. They don't even try to make that make sense. You'll just be like, the fuck was he doing with the freezer? What's going on with that guy?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just some guy, doing weird stuff. Who is this
But like
guy?
a lot of the emotional touchstones of Adventure Time, Distant Lands, Obsidian really rely on you knowing the history of the show, because you have all this context about the relationship between Bubblegum and Marceline from the show, and it's not necessarily like, oh, now I know the answer as to X, Y, and Z. It's more like you get a complete emotional picture of those characters and their final arcs that would definitely be lost on you if you had not seen the show.
Yep. They sort of fill in blanks that didn't exist, right? So it's like there weren't really like plot holes to fill in, right?
Yeah,
But
like
it's
we'd
just sort of
seen
like,
Marceline's mother already in the show. She came up several times and it was kind of left as is. This doesn't reveal shocking new information about her mom, but it reveals a heartwarming and interesting emotional arc about her mom and the context of how she became who she was.
right. It's like, okay, we already have this thing. Let's just explain that thing some more than we explained it before, right? It's like, okay, A, B, and C, that you don't need to know more than A, B, and C. It's not a hole. It's not lacking in the original show, right? But we're just going to add some more details. We're going to add D, E, and F just to flesh that out, color in between the lines a bit there, and now you'll know even more. And it's not really any different but it's just a thing that will make someone who's a fan feel good with some fan service, but also, add more to the characters and whatnot.
Yep. It does also serve to do something that, as you know, the history of Adventure Time, they really weren't allowed to explore the lesbian relationship between Marceline and Bubblegum in the show. Like, they couldn't continue what they started with that one episode that sort of really kicked that off. They weren't allowed to. Like, it was a different time, and that sucks. And they barely got to the point at the end where they could have them kiss on screen. Part of what this episode seems to do is revel in their relationship. Like, they don't have to dance around any of it. They dive into their relationship. Like, they're just living together. That is just fine. I feel like it is partly not a repudiation of the decisions that were made by the company previously, but more like a conclusion, like, this is how far we've come.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like, okay, we can do this now, so we're going to do it. They don't go overboard with it, like, oh, yeah, we can do this now, let's do it, right? But it's just sort of like, okay, we can do this now. If we had been allowed to do this all along and this was a normal thing to do.
Yep, this is what it would have been.
This is what it would have been. So we're on HBO Max. We can do it. We must do it. And they did do it.
Yep. So obviously, just go watch it if you haven't, unless you haven't watched Adventure Time, in which case, just go watch that. Because I just want to talk about the parts we liked, which means we're going to spoil this. But by nature of talking about this, we're going to spoil a lot of Adventure Time. I'm like 50-50 on if Jake is dead by this point, based on just Finn having that tattoo.
Yeah, well, the tattoo and the fact that
and Bonwin's with him.
Right, Jake didn't come in the bus.
Yeah,
right? Jake's daughter came in the bus.
No, that's not Jake's daughter. That's Jake's granddaughter. That's Bonwin, the skateboard girl. That's Kim Kil-won's daughter.
Oh my God!
How do you not remember Adventure Time?
Because Jake's family's too big. I can't get them straight. That is Kim Kil-won's daughter. Yeah.
But I like how Finn definitely has a Greg from Steven Universe vibe going on now.
Well, I think the thing I like most is how, clearly the voice actor for Finn got older, right?
Yep.
And they're basically just like, okay, he's probably like, I can just talk normally now and not have to hide that I'm no longer a child, because my character is no longer a child. It's the same character, though.
I love all, the voice acting.
Got 2 lines maybe?
Right. The voice acting in Adventure Time has always been A+, but the voices in this one are particularly good, especially all the sort of catty, bitchy, and the side glass characters who are all being snide and mean the entire time are particularly funny in an LSP way that I appreciate.
Right, to go back to the Jake dead story, we know for a fact, however, that Jake's voice actor, the Bender guy, what's his name? I always forget his name when I need to remember it, but when I see his name, I'm like, that's that guy.
John DiMaggio?
Yes, as soon as I see that name, I know who it is, but I can't come up with his name when I need to. We know for a fact that he is voice acting Jake in one of these.
Yep, but we don't know
presumably
when they're set, because remember, BMO, the first one, was set way before Adventure Time started. This one is set way after. So he could be
not
acting
way
Jake
after, maybe like
a decade
10,
at
20 years
least.
after.
Yeah, 10 or 20
10
after.
or 20 years after. Yeah, it's not too far after.
I mean, the first one is set 10 or 20 years before because BMO meets baby Finn.
Exactly, yes.
So 10-ish years before, 10-ish years after.
If something has happened to Jake, which they seem to be alluding to in that final brief moments of this movie, I think there's almost a guarantee that the
fourth episode, we're going to see that happen.
The fourth Finn Jake episode will be about that. Yes.
Yep.
Almost guaranteed, right? High likelihood.
But I'm literally 50-50 on that tattoo is because he is dead, or that tattoo is just because that's how Finn rolls.
It could be just how Finn rolls. It could also be, I don't know, not dead, but like, there's the whole Prismo sleeping Jake situation, which I am a fan of. Right?
I did notice that you see one of those futuristic looking banana guards briefly in a scene in this.
I did not notice that. I did notice
and the only other times we see them are in Graybles in the future after the fall of the Candy Kingdom.
Ooh, okay.
There's a lot of little bits.
That is the thing, right? Is that they, Bubbleen are living in Marceline Shack. They are not living in the Candy Kingdom.
Yep, but the Candy Kingdom is still fine at this point.
There must be because there's banana guards.
Yep.
We assume it must be there. No one, there's no indication that it's not.
Yep, but there's the newer banana guards that we see later in the Graybles in the and the Lemon Hope episodes.
Yep. Why can't episode 3 be Lemongrass?
As much as I want that, I'm still excited because you remember what episode 3 is, right?
No.
Baby Peppermint Butler goes to wizard school to relearn dark magic.
Right. Yeah, that's high up there. Oh, so how could I forget to mention, right? So I
was waiting for you to bring it up. I was avoiding bringing it up on purpose.
The very beginning of this fucking movie, right? Glass Boy is trying, escape the Glass Kingdom and is going to go out into the world to try to find Marceline. They do it pretty quickly, actually. He finds Marceline pretty easily.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, we know the Candy Kingdom exists because Simon's in the bar singing. I forgot about that. Anyway, the first person that Glass Boy runs into in the woods, he runs into a mysterious hooded figure in the woods, right? Who is that hooded figure? And I'm thinking like all the it could be a LSP,
Sir Slicer.
It could be a Lemon Grab. It could be, they could go obscure. It was the bubble head guy. What's his name? Didn't he die? The robot?
Oh, Rattleballs?
Rattleballs. It could be, and like this mysterious character in the woods. It could be a friggin' Huntress Wizard. Could be, I don't know, anybody, right? Instead, it was my favorite dude, the Choose Goose. And I was like, oh my God.
Usually Choose Goose is small and floppy, but this was a tall and menacing Choose Goose with contraband.
Yeah, and so the moisturizer was contraband. I don't know what's up with that. But I missed the Choose. I was so aghast that the Choose Goose appeared. I had to rewind to go back and listen to Choose Goose's rhyme a second time because I missed it. I was so excited to see my boy Choose Goose. So that was nice to see Choose Goose still around. Why can't we get a whole Choose Goose episode? Tell us the story of
this
Choose
is
Goose.
the big thing I wonder. I feel like Distant Lands is very popular. And I feel like it's doing well for HBO Max.
Well, it can't doing well for them because I pirated it.
Yeah, I also might have sailed the high seas. My question is, I feel like I have to pay for it now if I'm going to be watching Venture. If Venture Brothers makes it to HBO Max, I will pay for HBO Max.
I mean, I already said I'm probably going to end up, at some point. I only have one service at a time. I got to probably turn off Netflix and turn on HBO Max is my next move when I make a move, right?
But I wonder if they will just keep making more Adventure Time, or I wonder if HBO Max will want to keep funding it, but the creative teams will not want to continue making it. I don't know how this is all going to shake down. Like, on one hand, this could just be like 4 episodes to try to get a bunch of people to HBO Max with a popular property that's ended. But on the other hand, it could be a situation where this is big and there's like a trial balloon, and if it succeeds, they'll want to just keep making more.
Maybe.
Because I would just keep watching Adventure Time. Like, so far, these 2 episodes have not disappointed. If they made an Adventure Time episode as good as these every few months for the next decade, I'd probably watch them all and never get tired.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's not much else we could really say. I mean, just watch it. It ain't even that long.
Yeah, I don't think we'll do a Geek Nights episode on like each of the 2 next ones. Let's try maybe do one for both.
Try to combine them, unless the P-Bud one.
If there is the threat of too many of these happening, we risk turning Geek Nights Wednesday into Adventure Time.
Yeah, Radio Free Equestria Part 2.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to go down that road. So, but yeah,
that road you're on, it goes nowhere. All right, I think we're good. That was plenty of